So in elementary school and middle school, I actually tried to block everything out. I mean, I know, looking back, I had trust issues and I wasn't confident. Like now I have a lot of confidence because obviously I've grown, but you kind of close yourself off because you have this secret and no one notices. So there was no clubs. Like now I know there's some clubs in certain schools to help incarcerated children. But back in 1975, there was nothing, so you felt alone. And actually, I couldn't feel anything. Because when I met my husband when I was 21, he's like, oh, how was your childhood? I was like, it was great. And I wasn't even lying. It's just you cut off, you disassociate to protect yourself. Growing up, I was very shameful about my father being in prison, and you don't want to tell anyone. And in elementary school, my friends would always say, where's your dad? And I would just say, they're divorced. My parents are divorced. Well, where is he? I'm like, I don't know. Because it's the shame of, especially in 8th grade, you don't want to tell people, yeah, my dad's in prison. And in 8th grade, you don't even know it's shame, but that's what it is. You feel shame. It's embarrassing. I mean, you don't think anyone else, you see everyone else's dad is around, and it's just too painful to say your dad's in prison. And then when I was older, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I might have been 25, but Oprah told about her sexual abuse on her show. It was the first time she ever told about her sexual abuse. And she made a big point that does not define you. And so what I realized is my dad's mistakes doesn't define me. And I don't need to be embarrassed about it. I don't need to feel shame about it. His mistakes are not my mistakes. And when Oprah really talked about her sexual abuse, I got that it has nothing to do with me, what my father has done. And so now I can just tell people, yeah, my dad was in prison, and I can speak about it. And I think it's helpful for a lot of people that we're not alone. Last summer, I was at a barbecue, and this guy was talking about his brother who was in jail. And so they were like talking about it and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, oh, my father was in prison. Everyone shut up for a second, kind of like all stared at each other and changed the subject. Like they could talk about their brother for whatever reason, but everyone got really uncomfortable when I said it. Like it's like subject changed. And it was almost because I saw the look on their face, like they felt shame for me. And I was like bringing it up, like, okay, let's talk about it. You're talking about your brother. But yeah, I don't really know why there's so much shame and people don't want to talk about it. I mean, I realized it in the 70s, 1975, but it's a different time. We're talking about all different types of things now. We should be able to talk about it. Well, I think it's powerful to share our stories so people know that they're not alone and that you can come through it. Like, if you don't tell the stories, then no one knows that you can help them, right? Like sometimes I can tell a story and like for my niece who didn't know. So telling her story about her grandfather who's now deceased, who is incarcerated, it's important for me to tell her and for me to tell other people because you're not alone. And this is why your own father acts like this. So I feel that if we could overcome the stigma and you're a bad person if your parents are in jail, if we would stop that and look with our heart, you know what? The whole thing's about love. We have to love one another. And that's the bottom line. And no one person is deserving of more love than the other person. So if we reach out to these children with love, and it has nothing to do with them, what their family did, what their parents did, has nothing to do with them. Look at me, I'm 53. I'm not a drug dealer. I didn't turn out like my dad. We need to love these children and help them. I mean, I wish I had an easier childhood and someone hugged me and loved me and said, you can do it. When I joined the Army, my whole family laughed at me. Talk about no support. If you look at the stats, people who are incarcerated, they didn't have love. They had a terrible childhood, whether it was sexual abuse, whether it was physical abuse. People who are incarcerated, I don't want to say they're damaged. Something terrible, something traumatizing has happened. And they were acting from their traumatized brain. So to have love and compassion, they're there because of what happened to them when they were little. And they didn't have any help processing whatever traumatizing event happened. So I just want everyone to have love and compassion for the incarcerated, for the children, and that we can just learn to go forward and make this a better world for everybody.